The Sexy Walt is a staple in my fly box. The past few years, it has accounted for many great days on the water, not only in terms of numbers, but also size. From stocked fish to wild fish, the Sexy Walt catches them all. And it's remarkably easy to tie. With these few materials, you can tie a variety of Sexy Walts that will catch trout in almost any situation. I tie this pattern in sizes 12 down to 18. Today, I'll show you how I tie the Sexy Walt in two variations that have become my go-to patterns everywhere I fish. To tie the Sexy Walt, start by threading a tungsten bead on the hook and a few wraps of lead wire pushed tight behind it. For the Sexy Walt, use fluorescent fire orange thread behind the wire and cover the wire to lock both bead and wire into place. Just above the bend of the hook, I make a few extra wraps of thread to create a tag. This is unnecessary, but I do believe it adds another point of contrast. Tie in a strand of ribbing wire. You can also use pearl flashabou for the ribbing, but I like the more subtle look of the silver wire. Next, twist some hare's ear plus dubbing onto your tying thread. I don't worry about making this a tight dubbing noodle because a shaggy fly will work just as well, if not better. Once you have it secured, counter wrap the ribbing wire over the dubbing. Secure the wire and trim with an old pair of scissors. Create a hot spot with a tying thread. I like to build up a noticeable hot spot. Sometimes it helps to place your fingernail up against the bead to keep the hot spot nice and clean and not too wide. Finish the fly with a whip finishing tool. If you don't know what to use next time you're out on the water, try a Sexy Walt. It flat out catches fish. The key to this next variation is Hairline's Scud Rainbow Dub in both light shade and dark shade. Let's start with a lighter shade of rainbow dubbing. As before, use a silver tungsten bead with several wraps of lead wire pushed up behind it and secure both wire and bead in place with olive green tying thread. Just above the bend of the hook, create the tag and then tie in the ribbing wire. This time, dub the material loosely onto the thread. Scud dub is coarse and spiky, and using a loose dub will allow air bubbles to trap inside the dubbing and give it a very lifelike look in the water. This is truly one of those patterns that produces even better once it starts looking a little raggedy. Advance the ribbing wire and tie off. Again, use an old pair of scissors anytime you're dealing with wire when you're fly tying. Use your fingernail to help you get a crisp hot spot with the olive green thread. Whip finish and you're done. I use this fly year-round and have had great success everywhere I've tried it. It is truly a confidence pattern. The third variation we're going to tie today incorporates natural done CDC to create a sort of soft hackle Sexy Waltz using the dark shade rainbow dubbing. Thread a gold bead onto the hook, add wire, and secure everything. This time, use brown thread. Above the bend of the hook, create the tag and tie in the ribbing wire. For the dark rainbow shade, I prefer copper wire, which pairs well with the darker colored dubbing. Loosely dub the material onto the hook shank. Again, I like the body to be loosely dubbed because I feel like it gives it a more lively appearance in the water. If you have strands of dubbing jutting out at odd angles, that's okay. They only improve the attractiveness of this pattern. Advance the ribbing and secure it with a few wraps of thread before trimming it with old scissors. This time, tie in a natural done CDC feather by the tip. Using hackle pliers, wrap the CDC behind the bead, softly stroking the feathers rearward with each turn. Make several extra wraps of thread to create a hot spot. You can also break off some of the longer feathers that extend beyond the bend of the hook, but it's really not necessary. And then whip finish. I really like using this fly when Hendrickson and March Brown nymphs are active. In sizes 12 and 14, this fly does a great job of imitating these insects. Last step, tie up a bunch more and go catch fish. Every fly box needs a variety of sexy waltz to cover any situation you may encounter. See you next time.
That's the biggest brown I've ever caught in my life. Amazing.